Hello everyone, Furness here, and welcome back to Furness's Workshop. Now, I know it's been quite a while since the first episode, but I've been busy with life things and all that. In that time, however, I've made some more customs to be looked at in this series, so hopefully I'll be able to make some more episodes more often. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at two of those customs I've made since my video on my Thomas models, Donald and Douglas. These two are actually the most recent of my customs, only being completed a couple of days before I filmed my New Year's special. But the thing is, I started them back in the summer of 2024. Again, life got in the way. Donald and Douglas in their blue livery were always two customs I always wanted to make, but I'd just never gotten around to actually doing it. I had always been drawn to their blue livery in the Railway series, as I think it made them fit in more with the main cast, and I'm kinda sad they never adapted that for the TV series, and thus no merchandise. It was definitely something I wanted to add to my collection. It all started after I managed to get a second set of the twins off of eBay back in the summer, so I could use my older ones for these customs, as they were in a worse condition compared to the new ones I got. I then started by taking them apart as usual, which I had to use a drill for. I mastered the chassis on both of them as the wheels on take-along models are stuck in them, and it would be a hassle to pry them off. Everything that was going to be painted was given a couple coats of primer before being left to dry for a bit. Then I used a nice cerulean blue paint by Dale Rowney for their main coat. I painted a few layers on each of them, which was very time consuming, to get a nice even coat on them. I then put the two back together to see how they looked, and they looked great. I then did the lining with my thinnest paintbrush, which was a pain, as it usually is. And as usual, the lining came out a bit messy. But I can live with that. Once I'd finished painting, the two were glued back together. Now it was after this point that the new school year had started, and it was my last year of sixth form, so these, as well as any other plans I had, were put on hold, simply because I was too busy. So an unfinished Donald and Douglas just sort of lay dormant in storage for a few months. But Christmas soon came around, and I finally had a couple weeks to myself. I initially had no motivation to finish the twins at this time. However, I decided I wanted to do a holiday video of some sort, but it was already too close to Christmas, so my only other option was a New Year's video. While I was writing the script for it, I was wondering, who should be the main character? But then it dawned on me, it's winter, and who would be better than Donald and Douglas as the main characters? That is what gave me the kick in the ass to complete them. I soon had faces made up for them in Microsoft Paint, and I must say, these are probably the best and most accurate faces I've made so far. As well as making some nameplates and numbers, which took me a couple of days to do in total. Once they were scaled to the right size, they were all printed off. The names and numbers were cut out and stuck to each of them. And they were done! I had just enough time to complete the New Year's video. Well, I had enough time to film the New Year's video. So, that is how I made Donald and Douglas in their Railway series blue livery. These are probably two of my more favourite customs, and I'm happy with how they turned out. If you'd like to see more of these models in the future, be sure to subscribe, it would really mean a lot. Let me know in the comments if there's any particular character, or even editing process you want to see covered in a future episode of Furness's Workshop. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.